Welcome, everybody. This is Lydia, and today we're having another podcast. On some platforms, the podcast is live on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube. It's not live, but it comes right up after the podcast. So let's get into it. Um, Welcome to Investigative Voices, where we dig deep into the stories that others may overlook. Today, we're diving into a topic that's as cutting edge as it is controversial: weather modification. But before we get into it, I'm excited to announce that my latest report, Storm Makers: The Power of and Peril of Weather Modification, shown here, I do have it in electronic format, is now available on my website, cloverleaf.pub/IV. It's over 120 pages packed with detailed information, historical context, and some eye opening case studies. If today's discussion piques your interest, you'll want to grab a copy of the full report for all the intricate details. Okay, so imagine a world where we can summon rain to combat droughts, weaken hurricanes before they reach the shore, or even extinguish wildfires with targeted rainstorms. It sounds like a science fiction, but the reality is that we're already doing this. Okay, so some of you probably have seen um, a lot of these conspiracy videos trying to capitalize on this technology, but not giving you the right information. Well, here is a report that will give you the actual information of what's happening. It's called weather modification, and while the potential benefits are huge, the risks are equally staggering. By the way, the report is $25, as all of my reports are $25. They're packed with information and also links, so that if you want to create your own report, you have all the links so you can go and investigate every single article, and there's lots of them. So it's perfect for a student that's researching the subject. It gives you a starting point and saves you a lot of time. Okay. In Storm Makers, I explore both sides of this technology, from its early beginning in the 1940s to the complex systems we use today. But let's start with a little history to set the stage. Weather modification, particularly through a process called cloud seeding, began as an experiment in the 20th century. Scientists tried to manipulate weather by dispersing chemicals like silver iodide into clouds, hoping to induce rain or weaken storms. Once the earliest efforts was one of the earliest efforts was Project Cirrus in 1947, where scientists attempted to reduce the strength of a hurricane. The result, a disaster. Instead of weakening, their hurricane changed course and caused massive damage. And it happened to be in Appalachia as well. This incident highlights one of the biggest challenges with weather modification. It's incredibly difficult to predict how these interventions will play out. Nature has its own set of rules, and when we try to manipulate storm, something as complex as weather, things can easily spiral out of control. Fast forward to today, and the technology has advanced dramatically. Governments around the world, particularly in countries like China and the UAE, are investing heavily in weather modification. Uh, these nations are using advanced tools like drones, satellites, and AI to improve cloud seeding techniques and better control where and when it rains. In China, cloud seeding has been deployed on a massive scale to help alleviate droughts, while in the UAE has urged it to boost rainfall in their arid regions. However, even with these advancements, the risks haven't been gone away. One of the most striking examples occurred in 2021 when Dubai experienced catastrophic floods after a cloud seeding operation. A year's worth of rain fell in just a few hours, submerging streets, damaging homes, and shutting down airports. Can you imagine a flood in Dubai? It's almost unthinkable. Came from American Military News. This incident, along with others in countries like China, raises the question: how much control do we really have over the weather? Another major aspect of weather modification that I explore in Storm Makers is the ethical and geopolitical implications. Who gets to control the weather? And what happens when one country weather's modification efforts negatively impact a neighboring country? So, weather wars, it's a real thing. A prime example of this is China's Sky River project, which aims to control rainfall over vast areas of the country by weather manipulation. So they redirect the water vapor from the Yangtze River. While this may help alleviate droughts in northern China, it could also have severe consequences for India, where the Brahmaputra River is crucial for water security. India has expressed concerns that China's weather manipulation could reduce rainfall in its northeast regions, potentially leading to water shortages. American Military News. So you can imagine that, there's only so many clouds, and now people are making it rain in their country, so it doesn't rain somewhere else because there's only so many clouds. If you're going to do it, you may have to make clouds. This kind of international tension highlights a significant issue. There are no clear global rules governing weather modification. The 1977 INMA Treaty prohibits the use of weather manipulation for military purposes. Ha! But there are no comprehensive regulations for civilian uses. Without oversight, countries could find themselves in conflict over weather resources, a new kind of water war on the horizon. So, weather modification is not being used for military purposes because there are regulations. Like, it just makes me laugh because at which point do warmongers ever care about regulations? They don't. That's why it's a war. So it is being used for uh, it is being used for war as a military strategy. They could dry up a place, or they could flood a place if they wanted to. So now let's talk about the environmental risks. The chemicals used in cloud seeding, like silver eye, are known to have long term effects on ecosystems. While some studies suggest these impacts are minimal, others point out that we simply don't have enough data yet. Accumulation of these chemicals in soil and water could harm the planet and animal life over time. Then there is the psychological impact. People living in areas affected by cloud seeding, like Dubai or California, have become understandably wary when weather modification leads to unexpected consequences like floods or droughts. Trust the roads. Many communities are demanding more transparency from their government and better regulations of these technologies. In Storm Makers, I cover several case studies where things went wrong, from floods in Dubai to devastating rainfalls in China. These incidents show that while weather modification can provide a short term solution, it can also cause long term problems if not carefully managed. So, where does that leave us? Weather modification is used if used responsibly could be a powerful tool in combating climate change. But we've seen, the risks are real and they can be catastrophic. We need stronger national and international regulations to ensure that these technologies are used safely and transparently. Governments and corporations must be held accountable for the potential unintended consequences. As I explore in Storm Makers, the future of weather modification is both exciting and frightening. On one hand, we could solve some of the biggest climate challenges facing our world today. On the other hand, we could be opening Pandora's box, unleashing forces we can't really control. That's all for today, guys. Episode of the Investigative Voices. If you want to learn more about the incredible and sometimes dangerous world of weather modification, don't forget to check out my report, Storm Makers, The Power and Peril of Weather Modification. Available now at cloverleaf.pub. I will put it up